Today I'm joined by Brendan Kay from Parker's in Witney. How are you doing, Brendan?
Very well, warm, but otherwise very well, thanks, David. Yeah, good to see you.
We're not going to keep you too long, so you can retreat to the safety of a fridge or some air-conditioned room in your office.
I can hear an ice cream calling.
I bet. Brendan, thanks for taking the time to talk to us on one of the hottest days of the year. Talking of things that are hot, I've looked at your Facebook page earlier today. Did you see that seamless segue there?
That was smoothly done.
Really smoothly done. Looking at your Facebook page, it's clear that you love to communicate with your audience, your public, which obviously contain both potential clients and current clients. And sometimes the challenge for agents is what information do we put in front of people? We don't just want mindless chatter, but we need quality information that makes us seem as informed as possible. And you guys are a textbook example of how to use this. So also well done.
Thank you.
What were you doing before you started to use Dataloft Inform?
Do you know what? That's a difficult question to answer, because I think we were one of their very first subscribers. So that was so long ago. That's a tricky one to answer. But I guess what I can say that's probably a little bit more helpful than that is, you know, the great British public love a media story about property and property values. You know, it sells copy, and that's why they're forever putting stuff in. Unfortunately, at the moment, you know, if you're a seller, it's all about interest rates and prices falling, and if you're a landlord, it's all about Renters Reform Act and landlords selling up. And so, you know, there's a lot of negative press out there. And so what I really love about Dataloft Inform is that it gives us meaningful content that can be tailored to your local market, that allows us to say something positive and interesting and contemporary about what the market's doing, and to try and counteract some of that doom and gloom that's being peddled in the mass media at the moment.
Because sometimes the simplest way of doing that is simply informing the market what is happening, and you're able, I mean, I've looked at yours today, you're able to tell them, roughly speaking, on a percentage basis, how their local market in your area in Witney has performed over a period of time, whether there are price fluctuations. So really the need to sort of focus on negative press isn't there. You're giving them good, useful information. And let's face it, who doesn't want to know what their house is worth today?
Exactly. And I think the other part that is really useful and of great interest to people is that, you know, everything you read in the media is understandably national or regional. And actually what we do, we're in a small market town in Oxfordshire, but we tailor it to our local audience. And, you know, best will in the world, the press can't cater for every location in the country. And so we're able to say, okay, this is what the big picture's like, but actually, you know, different markets perform differently. And here's what's happening in Witney and the surrounding areas, because we've got access to that content and that data to allow us to, you know, put forward an informed piece on what the market's doing locally.
And each time you're doing that both on message, but it's factual, up to date, but it's perfectly branded as well. So these are great infographics that you're putting out there. It's easy bits of information that are quite easy on the eye for the public when they see them, but it's absolutely on brand with Parker's branding.
Yeah, if you want to create a graph because you're out on a valuation or something, and somebody bought a property 3 years ago, you can draw them what the property prices of similar properties have done in this postcode area since they bought it, to show any peaks or troughs, and hit a button and it'll spit it out in your colors for you to take along at the market appraisal and say, actually, you know, this is what's going on. So whether you're using it physically at a valuation, whether you're using digitally, you know, on a blog post or on a social media post, you know, it's all on brand at the touch of a button, which I have to say makes my life so much easier.
So I've just been reading your local lettings market update as well, which is really sort of easy to use, one sheeter. It sort of gives a snapshot really of what is happening in that local market, again with those graphs and a little bit more data, but there's a call to action on it as well. It's got your details very clearly at the bottom with a lovely photo, but also like you've got there that QR code that allows them to access a more convenient point of sale, if you like, very quickly.
Exactly, and all that's auto-generated. So our QR code to download to evaluation that's bespoke to their property, A, informs us that they've done that, and B, is created with absolutely zero effort, because once we've created it once and uploaded it to the the Dataloft Inform website, it's all auto-generated. In fact, you sometimes need to remember to update things occasionally because it's also seamless. It is a handy bit of kit.
So I know the answer to this next question, given the fact that you are one of their longest standing clients, but it goes without saying, therefore, that you're quite happy with the Dataloft service. How is the actual customer service if you've ever needed support behind the scenes?
It is. I mean, a couple of times, I've needed to get in touch with them, but I think perhaps beyond that, that bit is fantastic, and they offer regular, I mean, it's weekly webinars on how to get the best from their product, because it's constantly evolving, but they're also open to suggestions and making amendments. So some of the things that are now part of the Dataloft Inform experience, I and others, I don't claim credit for these great things, but have put forward saying, oh, it'd be great if it could do this, or can we have this? Yeah. And they put it into their product development, and before too long you see it spit out the other end doing exactly what you've asked it to. So they're very open to making those sorts of improvements, because if it benefits us, it will benefit other users they have as well.
We were joking yesterday amongst a small group of suppliers that these days the buzzword is that we no longer talk about working with agents, we'll talk about working in partnership with them. But realistically speaking, if they are taking on board your feedback and then sort of creating a product that is more usable and more useful to you, in the truest sense, that does become a bit of a partnership, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I think, the fact that they're constantly creating new templates and new infographics and new ways to share those infographics, because you can download them with content as well. It's not just the infographics, it's the content behind them. And it's very easy, if you want to tailor that to your local market, but you can just use it directly as it is without needing to put in any thought at all. If that's, if you haven't got time, or it covers what you want to do sufficiently succinctly. But it's really useful to have that level of interaction and support from a company that we've worked with for a very long time. So
I guess if I asked you if you'd be willing to recommend this to other agents who aren't competitors of yours,
don't do it. No, absolutely. No, it's really useful. And I think, the way that it just interacts with so many different elements of our marketing, even, dare I say it, some old school, print marketing that goes out, it just sets us apart and allows us to produce newsletters down to a village or even a large housing estate. You can create a newsletter that is bespoke to that sub postcode area at the touch of a button, and it's simple to do, but it really sets you apart from what everyone else is doing.
It's clear it's a fantastic product, but it's also clear that you're a fantastic agent, because part of the key to succeeding with this is in the implementation and being consistent with it. And you're using it to sort of great effect, and you are very consistent with it. You're sprinkling into your sort of social media posts things that are a common interest to people, and might not be specifically aimed at selling them a particular house or a service. And I think that's the key to sort of keeping your wider audience engaged.
Yeah, it seems to work. It's lovely to have things to talk about. We all have different sources of our media, but to constantly come up with this stuff, it's really helpful having someone over your shoulder producing things that are in an eye-catching and easy to understand format as well.
Fantastic. Brendan, I'm going to let you get that ice cream. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, David. Cheers. Bye for now.